When I was a kid, every Saturday morning, my grandmother would get out all her stuff and she'd start making donuts. And she'd make donuts all morning long because there were four teenagers at home. And we were eating donuts as fast as she could make them. And her goal was to fill a Humpty Dumpty potato chip can, which was, I don't know, that they probably had to hold well over 100 donuts. And that was her goal, was to fill that thing. It took her all morning. My own personal record for eating hot donuts on a Saturday morning while watching cartoons is 18 donuts. So today, we're going to see how close we can come to making similar donut to my grandmother's. So let's get started. What we're going to do in this bowl, we have 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and we're going to add our dry ingredients to that. And we start with a cup of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, just about a teaspoon of nutmeg. This is the flavor I remember, so it ought to be good. And a half a teaspoon of salt. We're going to whisk all that together. Now that I'm an adult and do baking, I can appreciate just how much effort my grandmother put into feeding us, particularly on Saturday morning. She did that for years and years and years. All right, the dry ingredients are now mixed. So in this smaller bowl, we have a cup of milk or buttermilk. And in this case, I'm using buttermilk because I know she would have. Then we have 2 eggs to add, milk, 4 tablespoons of melted butter, which has cooled, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now we're going to add the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients. Then we're going to gently stir that until it's all mixed. We're going to end up with a pretty soft dough. I wish I had my grandmother's recipe. At one point I did, but that was a couple of computers ago, and I no longer have it. So what we're doing today is we're just trying to use an old recipe and see if we can get the flavor that my grandmother achieved, or something close. A little bit of flour down here in the bottom that does not want to mix in. Yeah, we finally got that picked out. Okay, now it's all mixed. I've turned the dough out onto a floured surface, and I'm going to flour it in my hands a little bit here. And we're going to tap this around a little. And we're going to turn the dough. It is soft. And we're going to pat it some more. Flour it in my hands a little bit more, and turn it again. Maybe not. Maybe we'll just pat it down flat. Now we're shooting for about 1/2 inch thick. All right, let's see how close to a 1/2 inch we got here. And let's put a little flour right here so that we can flour up the edge of our shot glass and our water glass, because those are our donut cutters. Okay, we're going to come over here and we're going to make one right there. And then we're going to make one right there. Now, if I can get the donut holes out of this, I'm going to try frying a couple of donut holes first. And we have one out. And the ragged one. All right, let's drop those down in. Now we're going to let them cook a minute or two on a side, and then we'll take a look, see how much it's browning, and then flip it over. I don't know about you, but I'm a little bit excited with these donuts this morning. Well, I hope they taste as good as they look, because they're absolutely beautiful at this point in time. My dough is still a little too soft. I remember my grandmother's donut dough being a little more elastic looking than that. I'm a big fella. That's certainly some weird shaped donut. Okay, my fan is shut off, so it's going to get pretty hot in here pretty fast. But in the meantime, okay, let's see if we can cut some more. Wasn't going to cut this one, but if I cut full 10, I might as well cut the outside. while I'm cutting these out, I'll tell you, these are good, but they're not Grammy good. And that's probably a good thing because it keeps me striving to come closer to what she made. Did find another old fashioned donut recipe in an old cookbook that I have. I will try that recipe next. This is close. This is close, but it's just not as good. It amazes me that dough can stick to a grease. That's it. My grandmother sells the Humpty Dumpty potato chip stand, like I said, which was huge. I'll have that. So we're gonna sell a loaf stand, but it's gonna be missing 3 donuts. I'm sure I can make this a lot easier if I had a spatula here, but I don't. I do. So now after rolling around in all this flour all the time, so it's much more like I remember my grandmother's dough being. She had no difficulty handling it, and I had a heck of a time. But you can see now it's starting to separate when I pick it up like it should. Probably the last donuts we make, which will be this handful of dough I have in my hand right here, will be the best of the whole day. But we'll see. Enough flour in it now, so it really doesn't want to stick to itself. So sticking to me pretty good. It doesn't want to stick to itself. You'll see that right there. So this will be the last one, and it's going to be a fat donut. Turns out that they're a pretty decent donut, but they're not my grandmother. So I'll keep searching for the perfect recipe, and I'll see if I can get my grandmother's that from my cousins again. And as you can see, while we did not fill anything even closely resembles a Humpty Dumpty potato chip can, we did manage to make a few somewhat crazy looking donuts. Well, I had fun doing it. Now I'm going to go offer some to other people. And see if anybody wants to try a homemade donut. Hope you enjoyed the video, and let's see you next video.